Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. It's really early. Literally, this video's just come up as first thing in the morning when I get up. I feed the cat, get a coffee, and I go through all my comments on any videos I've posted. That's my sort of first job. Nice sitting down with a cup of coffee, leisurely practice. But occasionally you get a comment that sort of sparks an idea or sparks action. In this particular case, this video. Now this is a suggestion from a viewer, and I get annoyed sometimes when I don't think of these things and somebody else does. Looking at it from the outside, not even seeing the whole picture, they come up with what could be, I'm not saying it is, a brilliant idea. Now this is following on from the Sunday chat where we went outside and we had a look at the Cymbidiums, and we had a chat about the fact that they're going to have to come inside come, late autumn. Certainly before we get to winter, they're going to need to come inside. And I was sort of discussing where on earth I'm going to put them. So what this viewer suggested is, why don't I bring the staging in? Now at first that sounds ridiculous because it's pretty big. It's 4 foot long, and whatever, it doesn't matter how wide it is, it's the length that's the problem. But it could replace some of the stuff that's in here, and you have to bear in mind the shelves are not well utilized on that staging. There's a lot of room for other plants, a lot of room. You can get an awful lot of orchids on those two shelves. That bottom shelf's got 3 plants on. So it's not a bad idea, and it's worth thinking about. I'm not sure it's going to happen because it's a big piece of kit. The person did sort of suggest that I could bring it in and out, like on a nice day, put them back outside. Not with those steps. It's got to get over the step of the door, which means lifting it down onto that step, then down onto the patio. So no. But getting that in here, its logical place would be along there. But then that means that's got to move. The tables would have to go somewhere else. We'd be looking at a lot of thinking about how to do this. But it might be a good idea. I'm not saying it's going to happen. It might not happen at all. But it's worth thinking about, because at the moment in here there isn't really any suitable shelving for the Cymbidiums. That bottom shelf there has got height. You're not going to get many plants on that. And and otherwise it's top shelves, and all the top shelves are full. They've all got plants on. So it's a thought, but it would take quite a lot of rearranging. I did sort of think my watering table can move up. That would gain a bit of space. Those racks can go somewhere else. But I would imagine at least one lot of shelving in here would have to be sacrificed. Well, that would logically be that little one there, because that's not exactly utilised, is it? Yeah, it's worth thinking about. I might wait till Hannah's down next time, because her head, the combination of us two talking about it and thinking about it, might come up with something I haven't thought of. But when you've got shelving the complete length of this side and up to the doorpost, there isn't much room for manoeuvre along here unless something goes missing. The other place that staging could go would be along here, but then that means I've got to sacrifice that and that. But that's a lot of plants to find somewhere else for. Bearing in mind, if I clear a shelf off, some of those plants would go on the Cymbidium staging. So it's worth thinking about. But that's the trouble when you get, you know, the larger orchids, you do need height. You don't just need actual shelf space to place the pot, you need height above it. You know, I mean, simple things like, you know, this Phalaenopsis in bloom, that needs a really tall shelf because of the height of the plant. The Cotyledons are tall plants, some of the Dendrobiums, even some of the Oncidium types. These are tall plants, they need top shelves, they need height. So it's worth thinking about. And some thought will go into it. And having done a video, your thoughts can now go into it. And this is what often happens. A spark of an idea comes up, and then other people have a think about it and come up with not necessarily a better idea, but something a bit different that hasn't been thought of, that makes things work. So, yeah. Maybe a good idea. It might not work, it might not be suitable, you know, but it's got to be worth putting a lot of thought into because it could solve a problem. You know, the Cymbidiums plus other plants, using that shelving and reshuffle things around in here, and then it can all be put back where it was for the, you know, when the Cymbidiums go outside again. So yes, we shall see. But yeah, first thing in the morning doing this sort of thinking is not ideal. I've only had 2 coffees. I need more. Now the weather's changed, so I don't know how much more on the shed I'm going to be able to do. What I'm hoping to do early today, it's my day off from filming. I know I'm filming now, it's early Monday morning, but I don't have to process this or anything, it'll get posted Tuesday. But I'm hoping to get another coat on the front of the shed, and that means the shed has had 2 coats everywhere and an extra coat on the bare wood. That will be enough because we've got rain coming in, or rain stops play. But what I don't want to do is put a coat of stain on that gets rained on before it's thoroughly dry. That would defeat the object, and you know, it's relatively hard work, so I don't want to waste that work. So I'm going to get the front done. There's parts of the shed I'm not doing up under the eaves. There's nothing wrong with that, so it doesn't need a coat. I'm not going to bother with the window. There's nothing wrong with that. It's under cover. You know, with that overhang, that part of the shed hardly ever gets any weather. It's just the, you know, the long piece next to the door itself, and then the panel under the window, which is not too much to do. That's less than, you know, the long side that's had the coats now. So and it's fading nicely. The bare wood and the stuff that already had colour on was 2 different colours after I'd put the coats on. Well, that's blended now. It's nowhere near, the join doesn't show anywhere near as much, so I think the shed's going to look pretty good. And then unfortunately we've got the fence to do, which I am not looking forward to. I hate painting fences. Best way to paint fences like that, slat fences, is with a sprayer. But the sort of stain I've got won't go in a sprayer, it's more like a gel, so it certainly wouldn't spray. So I shall just have to plod away at it, bit at a time, but now I'm going to have to wait for weather, because it's turning unsettled this week, so got rain, showery days and all things like that, so you know, once the wood gets wet it can't be coated up, so to wait for another little spell of drier weather to get the fence done. That'll be that. So and then that tidies up that corner. The suggestion of painting the table and the bench black to go with the bonsai staging is a good idea, and I've decided I will do that, but I do need to buy some more of the black stain, which I'd have had to do anyway, because eventually the bonsai staging will need another coat. It's not going to last forever, so it will need, you know, a touch-up coat every now and again, so I will need some more. And then that gets the bench and the table matching in with the bonsai staging and contrasting against the shed and the fence. I think it'll all look pretty good when it's done. But yeah, and then the landlord will decide I'm getting kicked out. Yeah, that'll be good, won't it? There's always that worry if you rent. There's always that worry that the landlord who lives abroad somewhere, last known abode was Qatar, she might decide that she's going to retire and come back to this place. This place may have been bought, it was bought as an investment, yes, so it was always planned on renting it, but it might be this is where she's going to come back and retire, in which case I'll have to get out. So that's one of the reasons that, because the laws are changing on rented properties in this country, if the government ever gets round to doing it. The previous government promised to deal with it for 5 consecutive years and never did it. Now this government have promised to deal with it, but they haven't done it yet. That's all they ever do, these government people. They just promise they're going to do stuff so that people vote for them, and then they don't do it and people just accept it. It's not on. Anyway, they're changing the rules about evictions, and no-fault evictions are effectively not going to be allowed. But the exceptions are if you want to sell the property or if you want to move back in. So the easy answer is to move back in and then then sell it. Or do whatever you like. But I mean, at the end of the day, somebody like me who's done nothing wrong and pays their rent on time would be difficult to remove unless the landlord was coming back home, you know. So relatively safe compared with some others, but never safe. It's never 100% safe. So anyway, I need another coffee. It's too early in the day to be doing stuff like this, but this idea just came up about that staging in a comment, and it's just taken off a bit. The more I think about it, the more it sort of makes sense, although it's going to take a lot of planning. The other alternative is to get rid of a load of orchids, those that aren't performing very well. But there's very few places to be able to get rid of orchids nowadays. My inability to be able to use the EU like I used to and post to people on the continent, that's just gone now. It's UK only. So yeah, not so easy now to remove your divisions or surplus plants onto others. But anyway, that's the idea, is to bring that staging inside. Obviously the plants can become unwired because they're wired on at the moment to stop them blowing over, and can be shuffled around. They'll bunch up together better, and that will leave plenty of space for other orchids in amongst them. So it might be a workable solution to bringing those back in. We shall see. We shall see. Right, well, as I said, it's early Monday morning. I don't post on Mondays under normal circumstances. I might post this late today, but posting it tomorrow means I haven't got to think of another video for tomorrow. So rest of the week we've got a back to basics video that I'm trying to do one a week, although I haven't thought of what that's going to be this week yet. And I've got a surprise package coming. The package is not a surprise, but what's in it is, because I haven't been told. So there will be an unboxing video in the relatively near future, midweek I think. And I haven't got a clue what it is, and for once I don't want to know. I like surprises, so you know, you will get to see that as a surprise at the same time I do. You know, when you actually buy something yourself, when you unwrap it or unbox it, you know what's in there, don't you? It's not a surprise, but this one will be. So I haven't got a clue what it is. We shall see. And my radiator's opening up nicely now, both spikes. I got this round the wrong way. I was corrected. This I've always called it Prosthetia radiata, but I believed its name changed to Achilleum radiatum or something like that. Well, apparently that genus has been wiped out, so it doesn't really exist anymore, and everything was either transferred back to Prosthetia in some cases, or became encyclias. So the proper name for this is actually Prosthetia radiata. So it's not worth changing the tag, and if I had, I'd have to change it back again. All good fun, isn't it? Messing about with these names. Still, you can't stop it. You know, the people that are doing it. I think it's what I call a self-perpetuating form of employment, because the more they do it, the more they do it. If you see what I mean. So they got a job for life. All they've got to do is keep faffing around and finding something else to change, and somebody will pay them to do it. It's silly, really. Especially as most of the people in the actual orchid world that do the growing and everything don't really want it. But anyway, I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.